Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on PrizePicks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the PrizePicks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/BlueWire and use code BlueWire. That's code BlueWire at prizepicks.com/BlueWire for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Support for this podcast comes from Frito-Lay and the 2023 Snack Bracket Championship. The Frito-Lay Snack-It Challenge is underway, and fans are voting on their favorite snacks to crown champion. We're talking about prime-time matchups between the best 64 snacks in the land. Will Ruffles Ridges reign supreme? Can Doritos defend their dynasty? Or will Smart Food use their smarts for a surprise upset? Only you can decide. Get in on all the action for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks. Let your snacks be heard. Just go to fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com to vote and enter for a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends April 3rd, 2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for 1 bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Mavs Party. My name is Kirk Henderson, and I'm editor-in-chief of MavsMoneyball.com. You're joining me just before midnight on the 14th of October. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with me. Guys, I got to be honest with you in that I am sick as a dog. I have been trying to hold something off and losing. I am the Mavericks defense, apparently, at times. So I watched this game. I had a really good time with this game. The Mavericks were all over the place and kind of weird. There was some fun overreactions we could get to, but really what I want to do is I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what you think. I want to, talk about this game, talk about the regular season, talk about whatever you want. So coming up first, we have my man Sam, who is so wonderfully requested to join the chat, and we will talk and get right with it. So Sam, what's up?
Kirk, well, I would say how you doing, but you sound like shit, my man. So, yeah, we get the feeling better, but I'll be quick. I don't want to try to keep.
No, I'm up. Like, it's the kind of illness where it's like I'm either like I'm gonna be awake, and so I'd rather be like talking with friends and suffering. You know what I mean?
I got you. I understand. Well, all in all, dress rehearsal game. Like, I didn't like what they were doing defensively as far as points in the paint. That was kind of concerning. But, it is preseason. They just kind of want to get it over with. I think they'll be a lot better in the regular season. I hope, at least anyway.
Right.
My concern is, I wouldn't say it's a concern. I just want to see what they do at the beginning of the regular season. Because ever since Luka's gotten here, I think it's been 4 years now. 5 years now for him. The first game, for some reason, it's just something's always off about the team. Like, the only really had, I guess you could say, a good game was when they played Washington that one year, when it was Porzingis debuting for the first time.
Yeah, and Luka cooked. God, who was it? He might be a Laker now. I can't remember. I just remember Luka and Porzingis just cooking. It was a great first entry into that whole.
Yeah, and besides that, every other game, for some reason, I guess we always have to play the Suns in Phoenix for the first game. So we're doing that again. So, yeah, and then obviously the game last year with Atlanta, but everybody was still trying to learn kid scheme. So I want to see if they can get off to a good start, because obviously to compete in the West, you're going to need to get off to at least a decent start, because everybody's talking about Denver. Everybody's talking about the Clippers, and teams like that. Jamal Murray's coming back from an ACL, and you've seen with Spencer Dinwiddie that you just don't come back from an ACL and just start playing good. So it's going to take time.
That's right.
The Clippers, Kawhi, same thing, ACL, even though they got a lot of depth. I don't know how that's going to work, because at the end of the day, they got a lot of great players on that team, so guys are going to want to play. And if they don't start playing, who knows what's going to happen there. The Warriors, I'm not going to lie, even with the whole Draymond thing, man, their depth is insane to me because even if Kuminga can play like we all know he can play,
Kuminga is such a good athlete, and it's remarkable the kind of stuff that they're just able to pull off the bench.
Exactly, and if Wiseman is who we think he is, man, that's gonna almost. It's just crazy how they just got lucky like that, and then they're able to have that much depth. So, like I said, I think I'm not concerned about the Mavericks. I mean, obviously, everybody's going to have their flaws, and we have ours as well. But if we just can hit our shots, play the way we have been playing, I think JaVale McGee is going to be a big help. We just saw it even like in the first couple of minutes, he was grabbing rebounds and, patrolling the paint. Even though we did give up a lot of points, I think it's going to be a big help. And, yeah, if we can stay healthy, I think I may be optimistic, but the sky's the limit, in my opinion. So,
this game was not pretty. It was disjointed and it was weird because it's a preseason game. I'm not going to lie and act like I watched it with the keenest of eyes because I didn't have to write tonight. So I had some friends over and we were watching the game, and there were times, like, for at least on my broadcast, the scoreboard was gone for a significant portion of the game. And so
mine too.
I had no idea what the score was. None of us were looking. And then all of a sudden, like, the Mavs were up 13. And I remember thinking during that sort of like scoreboardless period, I was like, man, the Mavericks aren't playing that well. And then they're just up by a ton. So I'm planning to go into this regular season with a really open mind. That you're right about the first game thing. Who was it here? Ethan notes in the chat that it was Thomas Bryant who got destroyed by Luka way back when. And so thank you for that, Ethan. I personally am looking forward to, and I'm just going to keep making this joke. I don't care. It's a good joke. I'm looking forward to Luka getting to take ownership over the Phoenix Suns. Like, that's going to be the pregame coronation is Luka, just buying the team from Robert Sarver. So it's going to be fun. I'm going to be bullish right up until I'm not.
I'm right there with you. I mean, for some reason, I just feel like on Wednesday, like Luka's going to say, you know what? I put my bid down. Yeah, I waited 6 months, and now I'm just going to just take the team from you. Like, right. I'm not going to let the team from you. I'm just going to take the team from you now. So I feel like I hope that happens, like, in a weird way. But, I mean, like I said, it's the first game of the regular season. You just want to work things out. I think Christian Wood is, even though he got his defensive flaws, I think he's going to ball out, and I think he's going to start eventually, like just before the season. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts before the All-Star break. So that's just my opinion on that. But I think I'm really feeling confident about this team. Like, I think they're going to do some things this year.
Good, and I hope we get to hold on to that because I think they're going to start the season well, and that'll be the first time in a while. So, Sam, thank you so much for getting us started.
Hey, not a problem. Like I said, I hope you get to feeling better.
Thanks. All right, we'll talk soon. Okay, coming up next, we have a couple of people. Joe, welcome to the show. Joe, what's going on? Hit that unmute button there at the bottom. Oh, no, Joe didn't want to talk. That's okay. Brett, how's it going? Long time.
Oh, yeah. Got a new job, so I've been incredibly busy for a few months, plus it's been the off season. So.
Well, yeah, I've not been hosting these like I normally was, and I try to do it mainly to stay in rhythm, but
yeah, I feel like I got to warm up back for the regular season. And it was, speaking of which, it was very much preseason for every aspect of the broadcast, including League Pass, which was down, and for the whole game,
I mean, like,
just
box
did not work.
Scores were funky. Like, I was seeing along the bottom of the screen multiple quadruple overtime games. Like, there was weird shit.
Yeah, I mean, as with you, I didn't watch it, that closely. But there were times at which I felt like the bench looked good. There's times at which I thought, like, this is going to be terrible and they're never going to score. I mean, I think when they had two bigs out there with the bench unit, it was terrible. That shouldn't happen in the regular season, hopefully. But the bench unit with like the four guards and Kleba was, I feel like, the best personnel grouping you can get with the Mavs team in terms of, like, enough offense and defense, like, that you can hide Hardaway with relatively good defenders like Kleba and Green and Ntilikina, and have enough players who are decently capable of, like, touching the ball that the offense doesn't completely, fall apart.
Yeah. They're going to have some weird kinks to work out because part of me thinks that when they're playing bad teams, the bench unit of Spencer, Wood, Hardaway, defense doesn't matter because they should be able to score at will. But the Jazz are kind of an example of a bad team, though Lauri Markkanen looked like God for a significant portion of that game with some of the shot making he was doing. They have a whole lot to work out because there's a bunch of players in this team who I don't necessarily associate as like kid type of players, but they're going to have to make it work anyways. Like this is what they've brought to the floor. So I think much like last season, we're going to have a pretty significant trial and error period. Now, the question is, if we remember back to last October, November, the Mavericks won games really ugly. And then December happened, and we just kind of have to throw December out the window. And then in January, they really started figuring things out. So I think we sort of need to give the Mavericks until mid-December to sort of see what they have. And if they're, playing at or about 500 basketball, I might be okay with that. At a certain point, they need to be above 500 and working towards, figuring out closing a seed. But I just think that the process that the team has is pretty good. It's just sometimes having to get where they want to go is going to require some ugly basketball. Does that make any sense?
No, I mean, I feel like I kind of get what you mean. I feel like to some extent, especially on the defensive side, the scheme is on defense what, for example, the Warriors are on offense, in that it's not a scheme you can pick up quickly. It's not something that is just a couple steps to it. And that's something that, when you start out, especially integrating new players, you're like, those first couple of games will be rough, because it is complex. But then, as you see, once you get to the end of the year, then you're kind of firing on all cylinders. And once everybody is in a rhythm of doing that game in and game out, then it looks.
Yes, and there's just going to be elements of this where you want to be building. And last year's Mavericks really built month to month on what they were doing. And, progress is not linear. And that's something that I'm going to have to get used to, particularly since I do these game-to-game reactions. Because, those of you who were here with me last year, I was really pissy in October and November. And they were basically playing about 500 basketball despite looking putrid. They got beat on national TV so many times last year. Like, it was awful. So I think they're going to get off to a pretty good start, despite, the first 4 games of the season are actually pretty rough. But then they have a pretty tough November too. So if they can play slightly above 500 basketball, I'm going to be in a pretty good spot. I mean, I know Ethan in the chat says, that's 10th seed in the West talk. And no, I'm the 10th through 5th is going to be about like a morass decided by like 5 games. Like I trust the Mavericks to close any sort of gap given enough time, particularly if they're healthy. So I'm just, for now, I'm going to feel confident.
Yeah, that was my read looking at the whole schedule as well, that it looks like, if they are at 500 through the first month, a few, like 5 games, 7 games above 500 at the All-Star break, the final month is really built for them to make.
Well, and we don't know how to talk about this yet, other than we know that there's going to be a ton of teams that wave the white flag at 30 games, 40 games, 50 and 60 games. And so the Mavericks have an opportunity to really run up the win scoreboard depending on who they're playing, because, there's going to be a lot of tanking going on, and the Mavericks are just not going to be one of those teams.
Yeah,
that provides opportunity.
That was my non-Mavs takeaway from this game, is that the Jazz are bad, but they are not bad enough as they want.
No, there was, who was it? I was listening to one podcast that talked about how some of these teams that have these good guys, like okay guys, are going to be selling players off that they had previously demanded first-round picks for, because they don't want these guys leading them to 20 games. They want those guys to be on other teams while the rest of the team leads them to 15 wins.
Yeah, I do agree that like the price of those players will kind of in a bizarre way go down.
Yeah. It's going to be real. This is going to be a weird season. So, Brett, what else you got for us?
Nothing else. Thanks for having me up.
Brett, well, thanks for keeping us going. We'll talk soon. Okay, coming up next then is my guy Chris. Chris,
hey Kirk, how you doing, man? You don't sound good, right?
I feel mostly okay, but it's like my wife said to me tonight, she's like, the only way for you to get better is for you to shut up. And I was like, I don't know how to.
Well, I'll talk a little bit for you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Wednesday. I wish you'd be here right now because I feel great going into the season. I think we'll win against the Suns against the first game. It's going to be more pressure on them because we're the team that beat them. It's on national TV. It's going to be in Phoenix, so all pressure is going to be on. I feel like the Suns to win that first game to get somewhat revenge. But this year's nice because even though we lost JB, like we've talked about before, I mean, we just have a team that can rebound now. And then Christian Wood's hitting threes, so I felt great. Kind of concerned about the whole Hardy thing. I mean, I know he's kind of deep on the bench anyway, but he's not even really in the rotation. Isn't that what Kidd said earlier today or something? Or
say that last part again. I'm sorry, I got distracted.
Jaden Hardy, he hasn't earned a rotation spot. I'm kind of like wondering about that now.
No, I don't think he has. I think it's going to be an uphill battle for him, but that's okay.
And he's a rookie. He's a rookie. I mean, we're not kind of relying on him, but we just it was a good sign. Going Tim Hardaway Jr. He hit 4 out of 5 threes tonight, so that was a good sign. But I know he is a streaky player. But I just hope he doesn't have those games where he's just impulse, jack up shot.
Chris, think about how many bad streaky games we had with Tim last year.
Dude,
I feel like we're owed a good Tim streak.
Yeah, like you said, ever since he got that bag, he just went downhill, and then he got injured, and he really just didn't have time to recover from that. But I think with this season, what I'm looking forward to is that we're gonna beat the Kings and we're gonna beat the Knicks, and we're not gonna see much Dwight Powell. So that's gonna be 3 good things this year. So especially those Kings games, those just my God, those are annoying. But I think I don't know. I'm just looking forward to this season. I just wanted to start already. So who do you think will get the last? Well, actually, no. They haven't even signed Campazzo yet. Do you think that they'll keep Wright or Dorsey?
I think Dorsey gets ejected to Europe as quickly as possible.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I called him. I called him. Doesn't see the floor see because he just hasn't been able to play. Man, he has looked awful every time he stepped on the floor, and I think he's got the opportunity to make a lot of money in Europe. And maybe the Mavericks will part ways with him, and it'll be, everybody. It was worth a try to see what happens. Mark Stein has apparently tweeted within the last half hour. I just missed this quote. The Mavericks are on a course to sign Facu Campazzo early next week. Sources add McKinley Wright IV is nearing a Mavs 2-way contract, but as with Campazzo, have not ruled out late audibles based on the waiver wire. And you didn't ask this, Chris, so I'm sorry. I'm going to talk about this real quick. Guys, I need you to understand something. Kemba Walker is a basketball idea. You know Kemba Walker because you know his name. Kemba Walker in the last several seasons, let's just take a look here. In 21-22, he played 37 games. In 2021, he played 43 games. In 19-20, he played 56 games. When he was great, Kemba Walker was unbelievable. But he is a basketball idea. His knees are destroyed. The greatest availability for a bench player is availability. And Kemba Walker is not available. So as much as I don't like Facu Campazzo, the man plays basketball.
Yeah, and I think we're going to be fine. In either way, I really think that the best we'll probably do this season is a 3rd or 4th seed. Worst is 6th. I mean, I don't see us. I mean, your worst case scenario, you get to play in, you have Luka, and he always performs that as long as he's healthy. He always performs at his best anyway. So, and like you said, a lot of teams are going to be 30, 40 games in, they're going to be tanking anyway for that other player. So we're going to have a lot of games. We just got to capitalize, going against bad teams or teams that are trying to lose. Just rack up wins, go into the playoffs healthy. And the fact that we got that monkey off our back, the whole first round exit, the last 10 years, we finally got that off our back, went deep in the playoffs. I mean, sky's the limit, I think. So, and you never know what's going to happen midseason. But like you said, we don't only have draft picks to trade this year because we still have the other one to the Knicks. So we really can't probably do anything if a disgruntled player wants to leave or whatever. We really can't offer another team much right now anyways, right? So.
I'm really not sure. I was at an event last night with Skin Wade and Ben Rogers out in Salina at their brewery. Really cool place, by the way. And there were a number of sort of trade-ish related questions, and there are multiple jokes about we need to call Dalton in Mississippi because Dalton's the only one who's good at thinking up trades. But it's just there's the only thing because you don't know who's going to be bad. Mark Cuban had a quote the other day after their scrimmage where it's so many teams, it feels like they got better. We've got to really see how this shakes out. But at the same time, we've also talked on this show about how 14 teams are going to go into mad tank mode. So it's like something's got to give, And
it's pretty sad because, if you try to lose intentionally, you could be the worst possible team in the NBA and you go in the draft. You might only get the fourth or fifth seed or fourth or fifth pick. It's not guaranteed that you're going to get the number one seed. I'm just glad we're not one of those teams that have to worry about that shit for the next few years. As long as you always have Luka, you're not going to be tanking. You're not going to be trying to tank it unless there's a catastrophic injury halfway through the season where he's out. So.
Well, there's some truly wild stuff happening, sort of in the analytics realm. So I'm not really I don't deep dive into numbers, largely because certain things confuse me. But the Mavericks, and one of my friends, his name's Jared Dubin, he writes at 538. He has this piece out explaining the 538 projections. And Luka basically single-handedly has bolstered the Mavericks in the 538 projections to finishing as a 3 seed. Okay. So you mentioned that's kind of your peak of peaks. So what they're projecting for Luka for this next season, his closest, I'm just reading straight from the article. Doncic's closest comparables for this season include 2003 Tracy McGrady, 2009 LeBron James, and 2002 Kobe Bryant, among others. What I just listed are 3 of the greatest individual basketball seasons that we've ever seen. So I'm trying to figure out how to balance the fact that I don't necessarily think the Mavericks have enough as a team with the fact that if you're looking at what people are expecting of Doncic based off of his past performance, we could see historic basketball. So I just, anything is kind of on the table at this point for me is where I'm going with that.
Yeah, all we got to do is just rack up wins. Don't give away the bad ones. Those Kings games, this and that, just get to the playoffs healthy. And it's a long season. Anything can happen. Trades can happen. But as long as we do what we did last year, other than the whole last game of the season, the Spurs calf thing, that was just crazy. But I'm glad Jalen Brunson picked up, held the fort down temporarily. Yeah. But that was just a great run, man. You going against the Warriors. They're the one that won the championship. We just didn't have the rebounding there to really stick with them. But I just want the season to start right now, dude. If there's a game started right now, I'll be watching it. I'm just ready.
So let me ask you something. If I remember correctly, you're going to the first game, which is
the
Grizzlies game. That's a week from tomorrow, right?
Yeah. And does anybody know? Because I haven't actually bought tickets yet. What I usually do is I wait a little while. Some of the standard price tickets, they're just not there. I know the Mavs tickets are high in demand. Yeah. So I'm kind of going to wait till probably after the Suns game and then see, hopefully more tickets get released or at least the resale tickets get lowered down.
Right.
But yeah, I'm just hoping, I want to sit in usually section 104, 103. But right now there's not 2 sitting together. So, but yeah, I do plan on going to. I'm gonna have to spend a little bit more, I guess, on a resale ticket, worst case scenario. But yeah, I plan on going to the Grizzlies game next week.
Well, fun, man. Yeah, I'm not just you guys don't care about my schedule, but I may not be able to do a post-game show next Saturday after Memphis because I'm going to my high school reunion. So, yeah. But Chris, thanks for keeping us going. All right.
Yeah, my high school, I graduated 20 years ago, and they didn't even throw one. That's kind of pathetic, right?
Well, it's like it goes one of two ways. You have people who don't want to do anything, or you have people like me who are like genuinely excited to just go see other human beings. Like I had like some current and former Mavs Moneyball staffers over to my house tonight, and it's just like I was trying to explain to people, I was like, guys, like part of why I did the green room, part of why I do this Mavs Moneyball stuff is like I like talking to people. When I was in DC, I was in my house by myself for like a year and a half. Like I didn't see anybody. Like I like talking and being with people. Like I'm a social dude. So
yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah, go Mavs.
Right. Thanks so much, Chris. All right. Doesn't look like we have anybody else. Wait, no, that's not true. Adam, what's going on, man?
Hey, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. It's just after midnight here. So what do we got going?
So I watched the game and I could, I've kind of been a little bit reserved, kind of waiting to kind of aggregate my thoughts a little bit. So the first three games against really substandard teams, probably teams that are expected to be in the bottom 7 worst records of the league. Would you agree with that? OKC, Orlando.
Yes. What do you take away from these games against really bad teams that are also
It's, you're weighing kind of the perspective of whether maybe the Mavericks aren't really getting up for these games because the competition is so low, or trying to take it at face value and they're putting out, maybe 80% effort out there. And in the latter perspective, there is a little worry. I think it's kind of, you kind of see it in them looking to get Campazzo, which isn't, that's not that doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. The fact that they're going out to get that guy, obviously it basically states that kind of, Doncic maybe, they need that second ball handler, and maybe that luxury of Brunson over the last 2 years is something that Doncic is going to miss a little bit more than he thought he would.
I mean, I talked about this on the show on our normal podcast that I do with my co-host Josh, and to me, I am less frustrated about Campazzo as a player and more frustrated about what signing Campazzo means. It means they lied to us all summer long about the plan being Josh Green and Frank Ntilikina, or they were so disappointed by what Frank Ntilikina and Josh Green have showed, which if you're shocked that Frank Green and Josh Ntilikina can't play point guard minutes, then you're pretty bad at team evaluations. Like, I don't know how to be kind about this, because as much as I hope for things from Josh Green, wish in one hand, crap in the other, and tell me which gets filled first. Like, some of this is silly, and it's, Campazzo will probably come in, and lots of people, and I've seen comments, it's on all of our posts at Mavs Moneyball, where it's like, well, he's a 15th guy. No, he's a 15th guy signed. If you don't think that he'll play, 15 minutes a game, 2 out of every 3 nights, then I've got some land I'd like to sell you. Like, this is, the NBA is a long season. Spencer Dinwiddie looked like ass tonight. He is a mixed bag player, and relying on him when he is a career inconsistent guy is a choice. Now, that doesn't mean I think Spencer's bad. I think Spencer's pretty good. I also think Spencer played the best basketball of his career when he joined the Mavericks, and expecting that to continue was weird. So I'm kind of all over the place about the final ball handling stuff.
I agree with you. Dinwiddie is a high variance player, right? He can be really great, or he can be, below average, and you don't know what you're getting. The good thing that you could possibly say about Dinwiddie is he's a streaky player. So if he's playing well, the next 10 games are probably going to go along that same trending line, right?
That's right.
But if he's playing badly, you might have a month and a half of just bad basketball, and the deeper he kind of gets into that, that bad basketball, it's like he's digging himself a hole, it seems like. And and he may not return in time for the postseason.
Well,
But
Luka. Sorry, my voice is so bad I'm cracking. Luka presents such a high floor, and I wrote a piece that, I wrote it a long time ago, but it published today, and I forgot that I wrote it. And I titled it, what if they made the whole plane out of Luka Doncic? Because I think his usage is going to approach, if not surpass, James Harden's MVP season numbers. They're just going to be forced into playing that way, I think, because Spencer, when he's good, he's going to be real good. But when Spencer's bad, or they're just going to have to rely on Luka more. Luka's going to have to play 38 minutes to 42 minutes a game, like it's 2003 basketball. I really think that's where they're heading.
yeah, Luka played 65 games last year, right? I think he played 65
Yeah,
games.
he missed a lot of December.
Yeah. But yeah, for the most part, like, what's your expectation on how many games he plays? Because they were 8 and 9 when he didn't play last year.
Yes, so last year he did 65 games, is right, and so I am, injury is the only thing for him. And ankles with the way he plays and stepping in the lane, you can't really guess on that. But if he remains healthy, I expect him to play 72 to 75 games, because I think, number one, I think he wants the MVP. Number two, I think that the Mavericks are sort of like, there's a hand-in-hand situation where if Luka plays 75 games, they're probably 3-4 seed, really. Like, I think they'll be that good, in my opinion.
The Mavs, maybe even more so than the other teams, they need a top 5 seed. Like, if they're 6 through 8, that's not a good setting for them to be. They need, an ideally home court advantage. But I think, as you mentioned, it really relies on Doncic's health. And you've made this point numerous times. You can't really judge based on looking at Luka. He didn't look, he wasn't an Adonis out there, tonight. I don't know what it is. Sometimes but you can't judge it, but if you're playing, if he's playing, high usage, Harden 2016, 2017 basketball, I mean, he's already not getting a lot of lift on his shot, but he doesn't really rely on his lift. It's really hard to judge. It's just,
it's crazy because you go look at his stats tonight. He was 9 of 18 from the floor, but he was 7 of 9 from 2 and 2 of 9 from 3. And this happened during Eurobasket as well, where it's at some point, someone needs to just whack him on the side of the head and be like, you need to take like 5 threes a game, not 9. Like, this may not be true anymore, but at one point in time, he was the league's worst volume 3-point shooter in history, with how, in terms of like numbers per game and what his percentage was. And he gets to the rim at will. And I don't understand. I mean, I do understand he doesn't like the contact. He's tired of the non-calls, that sort of thing. But he's just so good at certain things. And then there's just at some points in games and times where he doesn't do the.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, typically, players that are able to get to the basket and kind of really play with physicality, with more physicality, when they're relying on those threes, it's usually a conscious choice of just, either, they're just tired, conserving their energy, or it's, just like you mentioned, right, making a conscious choice of wanting to avoid that contact and saving themselves for the rest.
Yep. Well, Adam, thanks so much for joining tonight. I appreciate it.
No problem. Have a good rest of your night.
All right, talk soon. Guys, this was a better show than I was expecting. Thank you so much for carrying the conversation. This will go up at some point tomorrow. If you give it a download, I would appreciate it, even though, you don't need to listen to the darn thing. Trying to think what our show schedule will be. I have some plans, but honestly, if I can't talk, I can't record, and it's a long season ahead, and, we'll see what's going. I appreciate everybody hanging out. Check out Mavs Moneyball. We got some stuff coming. We've been posting 3 to 6 things a day. We have a lot of good writers. Go read our stuff. Everybody be good, and we will talk when we talk. If not Wednesday, then before. Have a great weekend.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.